Hello everyone and welcome back to our second video for our workshop series. Today we're going to be navigating financial aid. We're going to go off and introduce the team. My name is Vincent. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a second-year chemistry major and I serve as a retention director. Hello, Zuko here.
Hi, I'm V. I'm a fourth year. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am this year's transfer coordinator. And Clayton Kershaw here, winning the World Series.
Hey guys, my name is Ethan Chi, pronouns he, him, his. I'm a third-year bio student, and I serve as the professional development coordinator. And I am Harry Potter, Expelliarmus.
FAFSAs and grants and applications. Oh my!
Oh my!
We're going to be talking about how to apply for financial aid. So what is financial aid, you might ask? Financial aid is free money. It helps you by giving you money to succeed in your future education. So there are different kinds of financial aids all in one application. There are grants, which are need-based, and then scholarships, which are merit-based. So how do you get financial aid, you might ask? You fill out the free application for federal student aid, which is known as FAFSA. And FAFSA uses household incomes, assets, and the amount of people in your family to determine the expected family contribution. To check if you're eligible for FAFSA, you need to input everything that is required on the FAFSA website. And reminder, FAFSA is on a first come, first served basis, so apply quickly. So this is what you need to fill out your FAFSA. As the student, you will need some federal tax information that includes your W-2 form, social security number, and your driver's license if you have one. Parent information is also required on the FAFSA each year unless a student is 24 years old, married or has legal dependents, an orphan or a ward of the court, a veteran of the U.S. Armed Services, or a graduate or professional student.
All right, so are you guys afraid of scholarships? Ooh. All right, well, let's get into it. So what and why are we applying to these scholarships? So similar to grants, where they are a government aid and that's need-based, scholarships are merit-based, and they are financial aid rewards to help pay for any school-related expenses. It's essentially like free money. So anything school-related will be buying books, putting that money towards tuition. It can also be a stretch as to buying groceries in your college apartment, paying for your college apartment, and maybe even buying a car for college. And so when do we want to apply for these scholarships? So usually between February and April, a lot of scholarships will be promoted to award students for the following year. So right now, if you want to apply for scholarships, those scholarships will go towards the 2021 to 2022 year. But throughout the whole year, there are millions of scholarships still being handed out. So don't worry about it. And so where do we want to find these scholarships? Well, most of them are found on companies and institutional websites, like the UCSB website. They have their own scholarship site. Companies like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, they all have their own scholarships, but it's pretty hard finding individual ones because you want to find as many scholarships as much as possible. So the easiest way is through scholarship registries, which we'll get into next slide. How do we apply for these? Similar to the college application, but with much less stress. And the scholarship requirements vary depending on the institution. So they might require GPAs, some don't. Some require your SATs and ACTs, some don't. And most of them require an essay, but not all. So the most important takeaway for scholarships is to not be tricked by some of their scams. So a lot of scholarship registries are real and they contain real scholarships, and some are fake. Some are scams that will force you to pay money in order to use their site, and you shouldn't fall into their hands. So there are 4 ways to determine if they're real or fake. So determine if they're a real scholarship and a real scholarship registry. Those scholarships usually require an essay or a few short answers. So it's probably a page or 2 pages worth of writing. Most of them require additional support on top of your personal information, such as transcripts, SATs, ACTs, and sometimes a recommendation letter. Third, most of them require a minimum GPA to apply. And lastly, they're awarded once or twice a year. So for example, the Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper scholarships, they're only awarded once a year for a few handful of students. And so how do we know that they're fake? So the biggest takeaway is that they will require a fee. So this will include scholarship registries, and they will ask for an initial fee in order to use their site, and that's a no-go. Another one is that some of the scholarships will have a very little requirement when it comes to personal information and an essay. And lastly, the most important thing is that they will ask for your social security number. And your social security number is a government number for yourself, and you should never give it away unless it's a government site, for example, FAFSA. And lastly, to be able to distinguish fully between a real and a fake scholarship and a scholarship registry, you need to do your research.
All right, now we're moving on to scholarship essays. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun.
How frightening. All right, so now we're going to be combating how to write scholarship essays after a burnout. So we're at this period of time. Let's pretend it's April or the spring of 2021. You just submitted your college applications, and now you need to find some money. You need to get some money to fund these higher education. So how do I apply for scholarships after grinding through my college apps? I'm burnt out. Luckily for you, most scholarships use questions that are very, very similar to your college application. So a lot of times you can either just copy and paste over or just switch up a little bit and you'll be set to go. Many scholarships generally only ask for one essay unless it's generally a bigger prize or something of that sort. But don't worry, you'll get through it. I know it's going to be tough. So here are some tips for applying for scholarships. Don't just apply for big scholarships. A lot of times big scholarships are hard to obtain and they often require lengthy pieces. And when I say just apply for big scholarships, what I mean is apply for small ones too and also do the big ones if you want. A lot of times these small scholarships often require less writing submissions and they do add up. So the more small scholarships that you rack in, the more money you bring in. And the most important tip that I said, even in the last video, is be yourself when writing for these. Don't change who you are just for money. Don't forget, never give up your honor.
That no one can give you your honor. It's something you earn for yourself by choosing to do what's right.
So we're going to look at the FAFSA timeline now. FAFSA has officially opened on October 1st, 2020, so it is currently open right now. And it's going to be due June 30th of 2022. Don't forget, this application is not for the 2020-2021 year, but rather for the 21 to 22 year. After you submit your application, you should receive a confirmation within a few days. And then after that, you should be set. And you should be just waiting until you get your acceptances and your offers. During this time period, make sure you go on the FAFSA website and designate what schools that you plan to get accepted to and kind of your top choices on there. After you get offers from your schools and acceptance letters, make sure you analyze these offers and see what's the best fit for you. Which school supports you best financially, and which school can you afford to attend? And then make sure you designate that choice on the FAFSA website, just so that there's no block or anything. So most importantly, go back and designate where you're going to go to school after you commit. And the last step is for you to do this process every year. All right, so now we are moving on to out-of-state students. Sadly, most out-of-state students do not receive as much financial aid from campuses as in comparison to in-state personnel, but we currently have Eric Canlis, the current co-outreach chairperson, to speak on overcoming this hurdle. Eric is currently from
New Jersey.
New Jersey, USA. All right,
Oh my God.
I'm gonna pass it over to Eric now.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Eric Jimenez. I'm a fourth-year bio major at the wonderful UCSB. Yeah, like Vincent said, I am from New Jersey, East Coast, woo woo. But yeah, so in terms of like coming to school, like all the way across the country, financial aid was like, it's kind of hard to come by in terms of an out-of-state student, just because I don't live in California, I wasn't able to apply to like scholarships in California, obviously. And like scholarships in New Jersey were like they were pretty accessible. It's just like they weren't enough in terms of like using that to apply to my tuition. So I did receive some financial scholarships and such. Financial aid, FAFSA, didn't really give me anything at all. So that was pretty rough. But for those who are out of state or plan to go to schools out of state, don't let that discourage you. One of the many ways that I've tried to like make up for that fact was like applying for jobs and just like finding internships as well, because that's what can help you like, ease the pain of like trying to pay tuition, like from your parents at least, or for yourself if that's the case. There's also like a bunch of programs out there that are willing to give like free money as well. So one of the things I've done is called CFF, the UCSB Community Financial Fund. So what they do is they do these workshops, and if you attend these workshops and you complete a quiz and submit a like 2-paragraph essay, they'll look it over and everything. Obviously, if you pass a quiz, you pass a quiz. But if your essay is within reason of like how you plan to spend the money they give you and such like that. Well, when I applied, I got like $350 like free. So like that got added to my BARC. Well, not really my BARC. You have the option of where you want it to be sent to. So I had to send it straight to my own card. So that was cool. Jobs are pretty easy to like look for and apply for. You just got to know like the right people and also where to look. So finding jobs at that point, like, because I'm currently one of the student managers for the women's basketball team, so that's pretty fun. It's something like that's very low commitment for me, considering that I'm a bio major, earning money while also just doing my studies and stuff. And also work study. Work study is also another good program to get into, and if you're eligible for that, you'll be able to get the money and also make it easier for yourself while you're studying as well. So yeah, out of state, it's fun. I love it here.
Thank you so much, Eric. And just a quick note, work study is pretty much really different from on-campus jobs and off-campus jobs as well. Work studies goes straight to your BARC and goes towards any dues that you currently owe the school, in comparison to on-campus and off-campus jobs, which go straight to your own bank account. If you have any questions for Eric, you can go ahead and give us one of an email or reach us out on our major social media sites. You can also see Eric on our new podcast series,
F.I.E.R.C.E. So we just started it this year. So F.I.E.R.C.E is pretty much just a podcast, like your usual podcast, but we delve into a lot of topics about Filipinx culture, the Filipinx community, Filipinx history. We also have special guests as well. And also on our F.I.E.R.C.E page, don't forget to any suggestions for guests as well, because we will take those into consideration. Listen to our first podcast. Yeah, we only have one so far. We recorded the second one, so we'll wait for that one to drop this week.
So you can find F.I.E.R.C.E on Spotify and most major streaming sites. And check that out. Thank you so much, Eric.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah.
Well, come visit us at our office hours. We're hosting office hours all of November, except for Thanksgiving, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. We can help you with application logistics, college essays, and the FAFSA.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and have a safe Halloween. Woo.